My name is Easter Shombaine. I'll introduce myself. Right now, we are at the National Film and Television School. This is my school. I'm studying a master's in creative business. We are being exposed to the business of in creative industries, from the film, the music, the television, gaming, the business aspects about the creative industries. It's a 2-year course. We're just about to finish in the next few months. And I'm happy with the experience. And I've met interesting people like Joe here, who's my schoolmate, studying a different course on programming, film studies, programming and curation. And he should be able to tell you more about what this course is all about. But I think it's something that we need as Kenyans to be able to do better with what we have. So when I came here, just to introduce why the initiative, when I came here to this school, I didn't find any reference to anything Kenyan. We are not known actually to Kenyans. We are not known about doing this, making films. We are not actually known at the global scene. And this school is in a very good place, and it's a really good training institution. So why we are doing this is also to show that we have Kenyans who do this kind of work, and if there are challenges and where they are, and what can we do, and at the same time, can we improve in where we think there are issues, because I think training and exposure is important. This I can speak for myself because I'm going through it and I can see, and it has added value to me. So this is why we are doing it. First, let's see the talent that we have, and we hope to be doing this every 2 weeks. We get a few filmmakers online. They share with us their shots. People can watch, and then we can talk to them and hear about their experience and see where it goes from there. And of course, we'll be marketing this to as many people as possible so that we get to know about our filmmakers better. So I'll give an opportunity to Joe, who's a schoolmate here, to introduce himself. And we'll get to know our featured filmmaker for today, Wakarema. She's also going to introduce herself. Then you take it from there. Joe?
Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to have the opportunity to talk live to the world, but most importantly to Kenya and to people of the UK, to hopefully bridge that connection of creativity and talent and foster the sort of relationships that Easter has just expressed. I am studying my master's in film curation and programming, and I have a very important role, at least I hope I do, in trying to discover new, genuine voices across the world and to spotlight new talent, new voices, and just to see where we can sort of, see new voices, basically. I'm really excited about this because one of the things that I've loved about being at the school has been discovering new cinema, because we just get the sort of same old narratives and the same mainstream Hollywood blockbusters. I'm sure everybody knows that. So to discover new voices in new communities, I think, is one of the most fruitful things that we can do. And specifically African cinema. I think I was on the pre-selection committee for Film Africa recently, and watching over 150 short films, trying to discover new voices. I'm really thirsty for it. So yeah, thank you for this opportunity, Easter.
No, I mean, it's exciting for me because, when I was asked about, do we have famous directors in Kenya, film directors, do we have actors? Well, we do have, Lupita is one of us, but it's not well known or positioned as a Kenyan. And I know that to attract even good projects, film projects, need to have famous people, because that's how the audience follows, the final product it becomes a marketable project or film project. So I said we do, but maybe we are not that well known, and we can do better than that. So hopefully, even through this, good talent to start being seen. And, we also learn what we need to learn to be able to do better, especially at the international scene, because I know, and we've lived the experience that we do have good stories and good storytellers. And I think the skills are there, but then the next level, you probably need to push a little harder. So we are going to talk about Wakarema and her friends. And if you have not seen their short, it is there in the film, what they've submitted as a short for us to see today, or rather see their work. And I'm sure they have more. So Wakarema, we want to hear from you. Tell us about yourself, introduce a little bit about yourself and your friends, because their bios are on the Facebook page. Maybe you can add a little bit more about, them. Wakarema.
Hi guys. First of all, it's an honor to be here. I'm really, really excited. My name is Wakarema Wangui. I'm a film producer in Kenya. I started off as a props master, and I have worked my way till to the producing level, and I'm still stabilizing on that. I wouldn't call myself I haven't been doing it for long, but we have managed to produce several 2 short films and one feature film that I just finished shooting in Feb. My teammates, or the people that I worked with, were in regards to the short that I submitted called Drama. We have Pauline Chalo. She was the actor and also helped in writing. We wrote together. And then we have Johnny Cruz. He was the director of photography and / director at some point to the film. And yeah, unfortunately they're not here, but they would have really, really loved to be here. Yes, that's it.
Yeah, thank you. And you mentioned that you trained somewhere. Maybe it's also a good thing to talk about where you trained as well.
Okay. Oh yeah. I'm sorry, I forgot. Yes, I did get my degree in Kenyatta University for theater and film technology. I finished back in 2017. As in, I did my first feature film as a class project actually, and that's when I realized, hiya, I can produce. And from there, I've been trying to work my way to producing and learning a few things here and there from people who've done it for a while, and just trying to see what I can also improve. And I would say, if you see the feature film that I did in 2017 and the one that we did in Feb, you can see this change, and I'm really, really proud of myself and my team. It was a wonderful experience, honestly, shooting that. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and before, just a little bit of background, before you got into Kenyatta University for your degree, what were you doing before, and how did you get interested in that course? And what probably also were you trained on, or what were you exposed to during that course? Yeah.
Okay. So mine is a very funny story. How I joined Kenyatta University. So you wouldn't believe, but I was supposed to be a high school teacher. So I started off in a teacher's college. And back then, that's when, some people started telling me, you should join drama festival and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, let me see. So immediately I started acting. Actually, I started as an actor. I started, I was in Kagumo Teachers College in 2012. And that's when I joined drama. So every time we went for the festival, I was the best actress. So I started at the regional and then provincial and then national. So for the 2 years that I was there, I was, and then it happened that I could not continue. There was something that was wrong. And I quit. Then I saw this advert. I was just weirdly perusing on a newspaper, which I hardly do. And then I see there's a call out. They're looking to sponsor talent, anyone who's talented in sports, in art. And then my cousin was like, just try. You won't lose anything. I mean, so I applied and I got the scholarship. So it's through the acting. So when I joined the uni, I thought I was going to continue acting. And then when you get there, you realize, oh, there's more than just acting. There's now something called crew. You can learn about producing, directing, art. And then I kind of forgot I was an actor. So I took a step back from acting and I started learning more about the crew. So that's how I ended up in the university. It's so weird, but if you saw me, you'll just see I was in the wrong course in teaching. I was definitely meant for the arts and just this industry because I am more comfortable, passionate, and happy to be here and to just be an artist, be a filmmaker. I genuinely love doing that. So that's how I ended up in uni.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think one of the best things that we have as Kenya is the training that we get at the school level. I think that's where we get it right, because I don't think there's anything else that can give us that experience. And anyone who is in the arts or who's in the field or who's doing music always refers to that experience from the schooling system, from the music, because we are exposed to performance, we do the scripts, we do the writing, the theater. It's very, very vibrant. And the competitions are the whole country. So why everything falls apart after this is that's what we start. That's why I think the rain starts beating us. But the skills, I think everything is in place, just a little bit of pushing to the right direction. So Joe, maybe I can give you a chance to ask something out of that little history we had, because it gives you a bit of perspective.
It does, and thank you so much for explaining that. I'm just curious about what projects, if you could just explain what project you actually are working on. What's the story? What's the actual process of that, the development? Just generally, if you could just tell us what you are actually working on.
Currently, are you what I'm working on currently? Okay, so right now, I just finished now the feature film. It has already aired and stuff like that. So there's a project that I'm chasing. It's sort of a documentary, and we just want to celebrate Kenya as it has. We are clocking 60 years. So I am just trying to chase that project and see if everything will align. Unfortunately, I can't say a lot about it because we're still in the developmental stage. But I'll say that's the one thing that I'm pursuing right now. Anything else that I'm working on in terms of a feature film? Well, there are things that some of my friends are writing for films. And you see here, before you even start writing, you have to think about where you're going to get your funds from. So if you have an idea of where you're getting your funds, it also kind of dictates the kind of script that you're going to write. Because you don't want to be you write a crazy script that requires so much, and then when you're going to pitch, you're pitching to someone, maybe your script is if you look at it, you can shoot with 3 million, but the person that you're going to pitch it for has just 1 million. So I think for me, I normally like to identify where will we go and get and source the funds, and then now it will kind of dictate how we're going to write without conflicting or jeopardizing the story. So I'd say we're in the creative process where we're just trying to get ideas and work on them. We get some short film stories. We see, because it's easier to do a short film, like a 5-minute film, because you just gather like equipment here and there. It's not crazy. But the feature films, you really need to just sit down and think. like what's the process? Where we're going to get the funds? How we're going to do it? Yeah. So I'd say right now I'm just in between, but we're more in the creative, just trying to write and see what you're going to do.
And so
Yeah.
when you, with your last feature film, the one that's been completed, the ones in the past, what can you tell us about any of those that you're sort of happy about?
Sorry, I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
That's okay. One of the previous feature films that you've already completed, if you could just tell us a little bit about the story or a little bit about the genre, anything that will just, you know, make people maybe interested in seeking that out.
Or the previous films that I've worked on.
Yes.
Okay, so I will just talk about the one that is just finished in Feb, which was really, really good. It's called When the Gods Argue. It was directed by a friend of mine called Biko Nyongesa, and it's just basically very, very African, very Kenyan, very traditional, because it's in the sense that you know, in whatever you're doing right now, like you as a being, the conflicts that you have as a human being, the ups and downs, we tend to think there's a higher being controlling or whatever is happening, and those are the gods. So they kind of have a say to what is happening in your life, like your success, if you're going to get a job, if you're, you know, your career, stuff like that. So our film was basically just trying to show people, you know, when the gods argue, things kind of don't work in your life here now. When they're arguing up there, things are not working down here for you. But when they're in cohesion, something is happening. So it's a bit comical, but it's just very authentic, very African, and just trying to share a story of just one young man who's trying to make it, and he's very traditional. He wants to be like his dad. His dad was really wanted to be the council of the church, but you see now he's a traditional man. So you see there's that conflict between church and traditional ways of you know, religion, sort of. So it was a very good script, I would say. It's just trying to show we can all live together, you know, you worshiping your traditional ways, and you know, you in church, you can just try and be together and just have, you know, live peacefully, you know, following whatever you're comfortable with. So, and it was very successful. The film, if you see, it was really good. I'd say we received good reviews. It was shot beautifully. The story came out well. The actors were amazing. The crew. So I'd say with the right environment here in Kenya, you will be able to shoot something so well. Yeah. So we really tried our best, regardless of, you know, any hiccups that we had along the way.
And talking about environment, how are your films actually screened? How do you reach audiences or your community? Do you upload them online and just have people watch them online? Do you have a venue where you can screen films and have people, you know, talk about exhibition a little bit and where you feel your films will connect with audiences the best?
Okay. Well, depending on who funded you, like mine was with the multi-choice. So definitely the screening was going to be on their channel or their TV station. But if you've raised the fund yourself, or you have sponsors, individual sponsors, you can go and screen them in the theaters. In case there are festivals, you can go screening them probably around Kenya. When it comes to screening, I'd say we are improving, and I'd say Kenyans are also coming to appreciate Kenyan content, and they are taking time to go for the premieres of these films and watching them. There are others who upload them. There's a link, so you buy the link. It's a very affordable price, so you can watch your film there. There's that. So I'd say we do theaters. There's now, if yours is a for the channel, it will be seen there. You can also upload it for the festivals. There are people who organize private screening. There's this club. I don't want to call it a club or a restaurant. It's called the Alchemist. I don't know that they stopped, but they used to screen African films, I think every Wednesday. So the avenues are trying to open up for people to showcase their films. We are not yet there, but we're trying. We're trying. Yeah.
I think I'd like to come back to the question you said earlier about your budget, because you talked about is it three? Well, Joe wouldn't be able to understand what's 1 million to 3 million. Maybe you can give. I'm just trying to give an estimate in dollars. That's just around how much. If you can correct me if I'm wrong. Is it about from maybe $8,000 to $25,000 in Kenya? I mean, that amount of money you've talked about.
So for a meal, is it like 100 now with the
it's become our money has become quite low, so I would say 10,000, but maybe it's gone a bit less.
That's the thing. So I don't know.
Probably a bit less, but it's an average of $10,000 to $30,000. And you got that from MultiChoice. MultiChoice, Joe is a South African, I think, DSTV, right? Africa. Yeah, MultiChoice is one of those channels from South Africa that buy content and they distribute on their platforms. But I think the kind of deals that you get is it a one-off? You're given that money and that's it, or actually they do commission you, right? When you're able to get your script to them, that means they bought the script. That means that the content is theirs, is finished. You give you the money and that's it, right?
Yeah, if they've commissioned you, that's it. They give you the money, you do the project, and that's their film, basically.
And how many minutes is it?
Sorry?
How many minutes, content that you give?
Ours was 90 minutes.
Yeah. So that's just to give Joe a bit of, idea what that means. So in terms of, I'll come back to the source of funding, because you said that, yes, that is commissioned work. If you want to do work that you yourself, I'll probably want you to speak for yourself, your experience. I won't preempt. Where do you get, if you want to do maybe short movies or whatever, where do you get your sources of funding? How can you get your sources of funding? And then I remember you mentioned about it depends on your script. It has an influence on your script. So just probably say the variety of where you can get money for your films.
Well, there are pitches. There are places that you can go and pitch. They have they announce Kenya Film Commission. I think they do have their pitches. Personally, like the film that I did, the short film that I shared, it was for IGAD. So we just, I'd say we self-funded ourselves to shoot the short film. But now for that, it was for a competition that we won. So once you win, you will be rewarded. There are embassies that also are open to sponsoring. You just need to know the right doors to knock and just write your proposal really well. Yeah, and also there are people who do crowdfunding, and you can have friends who will fund your film. Where else can you get money? I'd say basically those are just for me. That's what I've experienced. I'd say that's where I see people trying to get money from. But there are people who even know friends from abroad, so you can do those collaborations with such guys. So it's kind of everywhere and not everywhere. You just need to know where you're going to knock these doors, because even NGOs, even when you're pitching for documentaries, every fund that you're looking for, at some point it will have an impact on your script. So unless you're crowdfunding for yourself, like unless you're doing, the whole fundraising by yourself so that you can dictate what happens in your script, but any kind of funding that you get, I will assume there's an agenda that they will also like you to try and prove. So those are just the areas that I think you can get your funds from my experience, though.
Yeah, I mean, you've given me the answers I wanted to hear, and I think Joe has taken note of that because I think that's on top of his mind as well. So just a follow-up.
I also forgot. Even sorry. Let me finish up. Even there are universities like in your country or the country that you're in currently. They also have. I did work on a documentary that was sponsored from University of Birmingham. So I think even those universities do try and come to Kenya and look for collaborative works. So that's
Birmingham.
also
Birmingham, by the way, is Birmingham is my region. That's where I'm from. So like the West Midlands. Just so you have some context of where I am.
Okay.
Coventry was where my mum was born in Nairobi. All my family are born mostly in Nairobi. Then they came to England in 1963, and then they came to Coventry. So that's in the Midlands. Just so you have a little bit of context of where that is.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was trying to ask, and in fact, it's a question that you're answering in bits and pieces. So, just not to give you, I'm sure you've covered, but the process of you coming up with an idea, you've told us, it's influenced by where you're getting your sources of funding. You've told us about your funding. You've told us a bit about the exhibition. Another question I want to ask is, when you finish your product, especially the one that you have freedom, you've gotten a little bit of independent funding. Have you ever taken any of your films to any festival in the world? Because they're international festivals. Have you ever tried?
Yes. I think the distribution and the marketing, I'll just use the Swahili word and say kizungumkuti. That's what do they say? The rubber hits the nail or whatever. I don't know. That's the hard bit. Unless you're looking to submit it for festivals. I'd say it's still a bit challenging. Just doing, because you see, I have to book the theater. I have to pay for the theater so I can go and screen my film there. And but at least for festivals, I think most of us submit their films for festivals. Like right now, AMVCA has received, I'm not so sure of the number. I don't know if it was 16 or it was less than that, but there were a lot of Kenyan content that was submitted for the festival.
Which festival is that? I've not gotten it.
So
which festival are you talking about?
AMVCA, Africa Magic Viewers Awards, I think so. It's in Nigeria. So I'd say most films go for, they do well in festivals. There's Zanzibar. There's a film of a friend of mine did where it went for Cannes. My first project, the one that I did in school, got nominated in the Luxor Festival in Egypt. So there's that also. I'd say most individual or indie films, they get submitted in the festivals. Very few of them do get their way in the theaters. Like I said previously, we are improving and guys are still going to the theaters to watch these films. So that's also an area. But at the most indie films are submitted to the festivals because they do so well there. Because once they do well in the festivals, you'll now see them on Netflix. Because also there are some films that are commissioned by Netflix. maybe series or shorts or features. Yeah, so you might get lucky and get your film into these platforms. You might also not get lucky and you keep wondering, like, how am I going to market my film? But if you're persistent and you talk to the right people or you seek advice on where to market your film, you'll be directed. But I'd say currently those are the areas or the platforms that people use to get a film out there.
So you don't send any
Because
of your
Netflix has
shots.
several Kenyan films.
You don't send your shots maybe to festivals in Europe, America.
They do, but I'd say now personally I haven't done that in a while because I haven't produced. I just started producing, like, let's say 2021, like seriously producing. The other one was just, funny. But most of the festivals that I would say are the ones that are in Africa or Cannes. Those are the ones that I've had before, or you can see when you log on your Facebook, you'll see someone say, "Oh, we just got nominated." But there are other films that are still nominated in American festivals. It's just that I can't remember. I think I have seen someone talk about their film being nominated either in TIFF or I can't remember the other one. But the ones that is more common is either ZIF, Cannes, and the AMCCA one.
So you've not been pushing your many of these shots beyond Europe or to the US. Yeah. Okay.
I don't think so. I don't know.
Yeah. You've not challenged yourselves much yet. Okay. Joe, you want to ask something else?
Well, I don't particularly want to ask anything as much as I just wanted to make a statement about the fact that it's not pushing. We've got to be very careful about the language we use here, because we can't be sending films to festivals is very expensive as well. And I think that every time you are sending a film to a festival, you're paying $50 or something, flat fee, and you don't know if that festival is going to take the film, because, so it's you could be spending, if you looked at all the festivals in the world, you could be spending thousands more than the budget to just send it off. That it's not about necessarily individual filmmakers pushing themselves hard enough. I think also the film festivals being a little more exclusive, and they need to be doing more sometimes to be opening up. So it's a bit of a tricky balance. But I think that I just wanted to say it's not necessarily the individual filmmakers' responsibility always to think about festivals. It is the infrastructure economically, the infrastructure around the whole industry that needs to kind of be reformed. I think to be more inclusive, and I think to people like me who are coming into this industry as a film programmer to think more ethically and about sustainable. What do we need to do to reach out to filmmakers that perhaps have harder barriers or harder hoops to jump through?
I mean, for me, I'll probably also ask you, because you're a better expert in this, because you know that, I mean, the way you see even in school, what they do, they take, because yes, they're probably better resourced. But for somebody who's, a filmmaker in Kenya, or you're trying to get to be seen, because as you've heard that, crossing to other continents for people to be seen, yes, festivals are expensive, but then how? And you can't say, because if you ask for Karima, how she knows that from Kenya, she's doing something, it's, and she's making traction in the industry, but beyond, in the international scene, how do you get more visibility on this? Because that the more there's visibility, the more people get to see this kind of work, the better it is, even in terms of production, financing, distribution for, beyond Netflix, because of, there's many people who can buy or license content.
Well, I think that, like, for anyone listening and for filmmakers all over the world, irrespective of where you are, it all comes back down to what you want to say, what kind of storyteller you are. You know, we all have access, hopefully, to the internet, and so that we can try and build our portfolios. We are in control of how we write our own bio. We're in control of what type of perspective we want to hold on to. Those are invaluable things. It's not necessarily about content, you know, about making 20 films a year, or, you know, you can make one good film a year and then, you know, just hold on to that and push that online, and people, the right people will see it if you know where to put it. I think film festivals like Film Africa are really important because they are the bridge between, you know, let's say a more, you know, Western or you know, United Kingdom sort of centric point of view to African nations and African voices that are really wanting to be discovered. So I think just knowing where to, let's say, target that film, or you know, so that you don't have to waste too much time basically going through every single list and going through, you know, you can just go to one place, or knowing people like me, or knowing people who you know are like agents and having representation. It's really important to know where to be trusted, you know, to know who can see your voice and can trust you, and so hopefully we can get that conversation rolling, and communities like this can foster that type of communication between us.
Yeah, that's a good insights for all of us to hear. And I still think it comes back also in terms of the quality of what we produce. And I know, yes, it's a financing bit. And for me, even, and what I'm studying is a business aspect. For me, I have a very big challenge in terms of, even as we talk about you as producers or the creatives, we also need to talk to people who have the financial capacity. Because I think that's also what is a problem, and explain to them and making sure they see that connection between, okay, yes, even if I do support such a script and it's produced, where is the potential for this in terms of, can I get my money back? You know, probably that will help us in terms of getting better funding, which of course improves everything about the films that you make. You have better choices, you have better locations, you can be more creative. Yes, even if they say that, you know, you can be creative without money, it's not really automatic. You need that little bit more to make it look better. So for me, that's also in my mind. I'm hoping that even these kinds of forums where we can open up these discussions, we probably may get people to start seeing the potential.
And can I just add very quickly, sorry to interject, but I just want to say, as a curator, as a programmer, I've been in the room. This is some genuine insight here. I've been inside the room when we get films being sent to us from Africa, specifically that continent. And I've been watching the films with a team of people, and they are graded. Just so you know, it's going through very different categories. We have technical, we have storytelling, we have narrative, we have acting, we have direction, we have concept. And every single one of those, we have to grade it so that it's kind of fair, you know, to everybody. I personally have always been a little more lenient on the technical side, because I know that sometimes people might not have access to the best sound, they might not have access to the highest 8K, you know, cameras or whatever. Everything, technical advancements are going so quick. So and I know from experience that the storytelling and direction and screenwriting are always more important. So don't worry if you're listening to this and you're watching this and you only have an iPhone, and my iPhone is from 2015, it's very old. You can still get that voice heard, because it's about your direction. It's about what you're focusing on. It's very, very, very simple. When you really strip it all back, don't worry if you don't have a lot of money. Don't worry if you don't have the best cameras, if you don't have the best sound. I know from experience that when it goes into those film festivals, it is always about the storytelling. It's always about the point of view. That is what you should hold on to. That is the most important aspect of this. So I just wanted to say that. So don't be put off. You know, make sure that you get that film made. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy about that clarity in that aspect. And then I also want to ask you, Joe, about co-productions, because also why they're introduced and people do it is because they can, get between the financing, you can get more than one financial from different countries, and especially distribution. Maybe we can talk a little bit about that. Wakarema probably can get a few ideas as well, because I think that's something we need to push as Kenya, How do you get into this kind of deals?
I think Wakarema can speak to that better than I can. She has the experience.
Really?
Well, your own experience from where you are, what you've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a question, Wakarema. Here's a question.
Yes.
Here's a question.
Mm-hmm.
When you get co-production money, let's say you get some
Mm-hmm.
from South Africa, you get some money from Kenya, and you can feel that there's a difference between the countries.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like you are compromising your Kenyan voice or a sort of Kenyan culture or do you feel like you are being given that money to promote your sort of cultural voice more?
Well, there's a little bit of that, but I think depending on when you're given the money, why are they giving you that money? What kind of script have you given them? And or when you asked for that money, what did you want to do with it? So if you're doing a co-production with case in point, the one that we did with Birmingham, it was a documentary about sexual abuse, something like that. It's something that they had been doing it, and now I think they also wanted to do it probably using another, collaborating. Because now when we were recruited, it's because there was also a collaboration between, so it was Birmingham and then Kenyatta University, and then we were under Kenyatta University. So depending on the kind of conversations that you have once you're getting into those collaborations, then you will know what is it that you guys are doing, because you can get money. Everyone wants, maybe, like I said, everyone, there's always an agenda that someone wants to bring out there. If it's me, I have my own agenda as a Kenyan, as an African filmmaker, as a woman. There's something that I want to portray in my films. There's something that I want people to see once they see a film by Wakarema. As Joe, there's something also you also would want people to see once they see your film. They know, something like that. So I'd say when you're collaborating, I wouldn't say there's anyone who's pushing anything, because everyone is always pushing for their own agenda. It's just at the table when you guys discuss what is it that you're doing in that script, how is it going to help either of your agendas. I don't know whether I've explained it properly.
Yeah, I think you've explained it really well. Can I ask sorry to Easter, but can I ask just about what going forward, Wakarema, what kind of filmmaker, what kind of producer do you hope to be in the industry? What type of films do you really want to make? What's your sort of vision going forward?
Genuinely, I just want to tell the African stories, and working with now with Biko, he's I consult him a lot if I want to do maybe a project and I want us to him to direct, because he has this authentic African stories that I have come to fall in love with. And right now, I just want to do authentic African stories, just us telling our own stories, maybe stories from way back, or just anything that is very African, very Kenyan. I want to sell Kenya. I want to sell my Africa, my Kenya in the best way that I know how. They say that no one can tell your story better than you yourself, you who's living in that story. So as for me going forward, I'll want to do more projects that are just really all about Africa, all about Kenya. But it doesn't also mean that I'm closing myself to doing something different. If someone wants us to collaborate and do something different, I'm very open to that. But if it's something that is coming from me, I really want to do authentic African stories that, you know, have a lesson or just something, you know, if you watch it, it'll be like you laugh a little bit, but you'll also learn something from it. Yeah, that's the kind of producer that I want to be, you know, nothing too serious, you know, just in between.
I mean, for me, maybe to ask Joe what you understand, or rather what you define co-production as, because what I'm hearing from Wakarema and what we've been learning about co-production is about it's more like collaboration. Maybe it's good to hear from you, Joe, as well, what you can define co-production as in films.
I really don't know. I'll be honest, I don't know. Co-production to me is usually between financiers and trying to raise money between two very different bodies, and it could be for many different reasons. It could, as Wakarema's explained, you know, there is an agenda. There's always going to be some agendas, and maybe strengthening. Maybe someone can't raise the full funds, so they have to work with another body to get those funds together. Especially with the way that film industry is going as well, people are more ethical. They're wanting to be seen as being more ethical. So the storytelling is going to have more maybe balance between, if you know what I mean. So I think co-productions are going to be more of a, going forward, I think more of a common thing. But I really don't know. It could be, co-productions could be anything, right? I don't know.
Now, I think that's where now we come in, because you're the business people. These co-productions actually have even legal agreements to it. You say what you're putting into it. And yes, there are some countries which are very well defined. Like, I can tell you for sure, officially, Kenya has no, because sometimes countries agree, you know, this is what we are supposed to do for each other if we work together on films and things like that. This is what you give me, this is what I give you. Kenya has none of such agreements. So we don't benefit from others, because when you do co-productions, you're able to source more for money from elsewhere if you don't have the full amount, because sometimes films are expensive. And when it comes to selling, you have, you know, you're treated as a, you know, equal, is it not equal partner? Yes, but at the same time, the equal rights, like that other country, you know, you're looked at the same level. Kenya doesn't have that yet. So I think what you're talking about is more either you were invited to a project, but not exactly collaboration in that aspect. Because when it comes to the profits of that film or whatever you've produced, you're sharing equally according to agreements. That is, you know, legal. So yeah, we you know, that's now a story for another day. And I think that would really benefit us, you know, in sorting us out in terms of audience reach of the films that we are making or what we are making, and at the same time also improve our finances. But still it has to come back to our people. Are we also putting in money into these things? Because there's nobody's going to finance you 100% and you still expect to be treated the same. So we all need to put in. Yes. So I think time has gone. Have you enjoyed yourself? I don't think that we don't want to pester you more than this.
It's been fine. I was very tense at the beginning, but you know, it was lovely, and I hope we get to do this more often, or from this we get people who are willing to collaborate with us, and you know, they want to do something here in Kenya, you know, call us.
Yeah, and I think also what I would want to ask, and maybe it's advice from you, because you can help me. This you know how you got about trying to do this. We need more people who are willing to share their work, to be seen either publicly, either through as shorts, because I'm not asking people to share the feature films, which of course is a loss of commercial opportunity, but just shorts, good shorts that, you know, market them. You've heard Joe here, what they do, and, you know, people have access. And the people that we are talking to, or even amongst each other within the school and beyond, are people who are interested in these kind of things. So the more we're able to share good work, the more it reflects good on us, you know. So if we're able to encourage each other, because we'll be doing this every 2 weeks, 2 weeks, and hopefully market this to as many people as possible to come and see. Hopefully it will come back and, we do physical activities that we actually meet Joe here and, all of us will meet whichever spaces you'll meet. So I think that's what we would like. So, but I don't want to keep you more than that. What do you think?
That's a good idea.
You'll tell the others as well, 2 weeks from now, I think if Biko agrees, because you talked about him also being available for the next one. He could be the next person.
He'll be here.
Yeah, for the next weekend.
Yeah, he will.
Yeah, and then let's see where this gets us.
Yeah, sure. So it's a great opportunity, honestly. It's a nice avenue to just talk about the Kenyan industry, and it's lovely. Thank you for bringing it up and for reaching out. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm very excited for all of us talking and sharing, and Joe has seen a bit of what he had never seen, and he'll see more, content that is more interesting.
He'll see a lot.
Yeah, he probably might be the person who'll give us a festival here in London, and people see properly all his networks and write about, because we need to write and publicize about all of this.
Yeah, honestly, I thank you again for the invitation and for the opportunity to speak to you guys. And just so that we are really clear, there is such an appetite for this in the UK. So there is, I always hear, I would love to see Kenyan films, but I just don't know where to go. I don't know how to find them. So this is the opportunity now. So we can be doing this. We can easily be getting a place, screening this internationally and giving a platform that people want to have. This is an invitation. There's no obligation to do this, but great at this moment because there is such an appetite for East African films and specifically Kenyan, because that is where my family come from, and I'm really I have a personal investment in that. And so you guys would be, this would be a very fruitful relationship going forward.
Thank you so much.
That's the goal.
Yes, and let's meet next weekend and have a good Sunday and enjoy yourselves, whatever is remaining of it.
Yeah.
Tasema kwaheri, we tell you kwaheri. Joe, we say kwaheri. I know you know what kwaheri means. That means bye.
Okay. I do hear it occasionally. My family do speak Swahili, so.
Okay. So now we are going offline. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.
Bye.